everybody. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Ellie. All right. So, guys, do you want to say hi, Ari?
Hi.
Oh, you got to look over here. Say hi.
Hi.
Hi, guys. So, I know in my community post I said that we were going to decorate these, but I am in the middle of potty training right now, so my son is down for a nap, and I really need to make sure I go wake him up at the right time, so that we can make sure that we avoid any accidents. So, sorry if you are not a parent and don't want to hear about that kind of stuff, but that is my truth. All right, so we are going to actually just roll and cut out some cookies. And I made this cookie dough previously. I actually wanted to come on here because I know that some of you guys have asked me questions about my sugar cookie dough recipe and have been struggling with it. So it's a pretty straightforward recipe. 1 second, I'm just gonna go grab my sugar cookie dough. And I know that normally I actually render down this footage and then I put it into a shorter thing, but I'm not going to do that for this particular live because I'm going to upload a video where I show you how to actually decorate all of these cookies. I know I haven't done a cookie video in forever. I think the last one where I actually decorated cookies and did a tutorial was 3 months ago, which I can't believe. And I kind of stopped them for a bit just because people weren't really watching them. So, but I know a few of you guys are cookiers out there, so I wanted to also do something for you guys too. So the first thing that I really like to do with my recipe now, if you look at the dough, it's pretty pliable, it's not sticky to the touch, but I really inundate it with a lot of flour. And this is all-purpose flour. Now let's talk about what is actually inside of my sugar cookie dough. It's such a basic, straightforward type of recipe. It's definitely a recipe that was probably, like I literally have started using this years and years ago, so it's not like it's kind of like I was using a particular recipe and then I kept tweaking it until it was to my liking. So I personally like working with a little bit less of a firm dough, but it's obviously not to the point where it's falling apart. It's just a little less firm. And don't worry if you get these cracks on it. They go away. See, you can just brush them out like that. No big deal. You want to keep that dough moving. So inside of this cookie dough, really simplistic. We obviously start with 554 grams or 1 pound or 2 cups of butter. I always go salted butter. And then we add in the sugar. And we cream those butters and sugars together. And that is 3 cups of sugar. Now that might seem like a lot of sugar, but again, a sugar cookie is primarily made up of, is primarily made up of sugar. So, we have about 3 cups of that. And you can reduce it down a little bit, if need be. Now, I don't want to go too thin on this. And then you cream those together. Then you add in your 4 cups. Not 4 cups. Then you add in your 4 eggs. And you really just whip that up. And you really can't go wrong with this. There is no wrong or right when it comes to this. Sorry. I'm at the end of my roll, so you guys see how it's kind of like popping up a little bit. By the way, I am making some beer-related cookies. Apparently this is a thing, having beer-related events for children. Did not know that, but here we go. I am all for it if that's what you would like. This one is for my friend, Embers and Ash. If you guys have ever heard of her channel, she's on YouTube as well. Anyway, I digress. After you add the 4 eggs in, you really whip that up, and then you're going to add your dry ingredients in. And your dry ingredients is basically just 6 cups of flour. Really important how you measure out that flour, and that's going to make all the difference. And then it's about 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Now here is where I feel a lot of sugar cookie recipes will differ. Some will tell you don't put any leavening agents at all because you want that crisp, clean edge. I personally like when the sugar cookie is slightly rounded. I've seen it where it's not rounded at all, and it's just like a straight edge. If that's the type of look that you want, by all means go for it. I do like a little bit of puff on the cookie though, just a slight bit. Yeah, this cookie one, sorry, I was just reading you guys' comments. Yeah, this particular sugar cookie recipe, it holds its shape every time. It doesn't, I don't get a whole lot of spreading at all. And if you're really worried, you can place it back into your fridge or freezer. This curling is driving me nuts. Sorry, gotta cut this down. You never want the parchment not laying flat when it comes to cookies, like sugar cookies, because it will obviously wreck the edges. So I do need to be picky about that. Okay, so we're doing a few beer bottles here, this one, and then we're gonna do some onesies. I love doing things for friends, especially when they're just like, make however many you want. Oh, that's not nice. Make however many you want, or don't make. It's too much. I love that. It's very interesting. I feel like now, because I don't do orders for the public, I'm more relaxed. But like I've told you guys, sometimes the more relaxed you are, the more work sometimes you can make for yourself. But I really try to set those boundaries. Let's do one more bottle here. All right, so my oven is preheating at 350. That's all good. It's gonna go into the oven for about 13 minutes. I always find the first few trays are a little bit hard to gauge. So we will do our best. All right, let's keep going here. Yeah, it's, Lisa, you're so right. It's a thing though. It's what is it? What is the? I'm trying to think of the catchphrase that they're using for their actual party. Oh, but like I looked this up because after my friend showed me, I was like, I've never heard of this. So I went and I looked it up, and it's like, it's very popular for baby showers. So they have like stuff, a baby is brewing, and then they have like all these beer related things. But that's not really the one that we're doing for this, because this is for our first birthday, but you guys get the picture. Okay, now when you're re-rolling your dough, again, this is where people sometimes go a little bit wrong. Or not wrong, I should say, but where they run into trouble. And so what you want to do is you want to just kind of... My daughter, she's on her learning tablet right now, so she's very into learning how to read. So one thing she wants to do is, one thing that you want to do is you don't want to over-roll this. I just kind of try to incorporate it back as best as possible. And again, generously flouring. To keep turning. Okay, I gotta confess something, guys. A long time ago, I spilled something in my oven, and it just kind of like overflowed, and I thought that it would just kind of bake off and go away, especially with a white batcher, but it always perpetually smells like burnt something in here for the last like month, I would say. I really should clean it. Okay, let's do, okay, I want to show you guys this one. I'm going to do a few more onesies here. I like the onesie cover because it's very substantial, but I and it's easier to decorate, I feel. But I always feel like whenever I go to an event, I can guarantee, guys, I'm going to this event, by the way, so I can guarantee that these little bottles are going to be the first to go because they're small. Of course, my children will probably grab these. Let's do one more onesie, why not?
Onesie.
Okay. Sorry guys, reading the stuff. Yeah, I actually can keep these fairly close together and there's not a whole lot of spreading is gonna happen at all. Sweetheart, the camera is here, so if you want to be seen, you gotta be over there.
Where?
Right here, it's a little tricky. You can wave your hand here. There, you see your hand?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna get my X-Acto knife here. Excuse me, sweetheart. I definitely need to replace this blade, but I have not. Okay, so this one here is actually, I think they either call it a chef's hat, or they also try and say that it's a muffin shape. I'm going to try and turn it into a beer stein kind of shape. So yeah, here we go. I'm sure a lot of you guys do kind of like Franken cookie cutters, right? Where you just kind of go with it. Okay. And so this shape is going to be the handle portion. This is going to be the bottom portion. I'm not going to be too picky about that shape. I want to maintain this shape on top because I want all those bubbles. And I'm just going to do a straight line-ish, as straight as possible. Alrighty. Here's one. Oh, sorry, Jay. That actually completes the recipe. That's the whole recipe. I'll say it one more time, and this time I will not get sidetracked. So basically you start with your 2 cups of butter, and then you add in your 4 eggs, you add 3 cups of sugar, and then you blend that all together. Then you add in the 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and you add in the 6 cups of flour, and that is literally it. You can also add in your vanilla extract and your almond extract at that point as well. And that's it. But don't worry guys, I have my whole classic recipe on this channel already where I go step by step through all of the steps. But I think it's a really good learning experience to see me actually cutting them live and the way that I cut them. Because I think there is an art to that too. Like when I first started making sugar cookies, I thought, oh, the trickiest part is decorating them, but it actually took me a long time to get a system where I bake the cookies thoroughly, where I've made them properly. Sorry, I'm trying to fit in as many of these as I can. Of course, the more that I make, the more that I have to decorate, right? So let's move these. I'm telling you guys, invest in those Fat Daddy-O half sheet pans. They are the best. I have all these ones, which I really want to just change over. But if you guys have watched my channel for a little while, you know how much I just kind of stick with the same thing. I'm very loyal. I'm very loyal to my things. Do you have a mic issue with, sorry. Hi Sarama, nice to see you. Is parchment paper better than a silicone mat? Yes. I can say beyond a shadow of a doubt that's true. When I've used my mat, which you guys know, I love my mat, but whenever I use it, I find it doesn't bake properly all the way through. So I personally like that. Somebody asked me earlier if it's possible to overflour. Nope. Because any excess flour will just fall off and not get absorbed. And trust me, I'm inundated like cookies with flour. The only time you're gonna run into trouble, 1 second, my friends. Sorry guys, the only time I've gone into trouble with flower ratios or things drying out is when I just like literally needed it too much. And I think a lot of us over need things in the beginning because we're not sure of ourselves, we don't quite have the finesse, so sometimes that happens. Don't be sad if something like that happens, we'll cover that up. Now if I was doing something like circles, then I might put that back in the refrigerator. Alright, so I think that is enough of those themed ones. Oh, it's so nice when you don't have like a particular order because you can just do it and be done with it. Okay. This next one, I'm going to start getting started on my son's birthday stuff. So I'm going to go really simple. And by simple, I just mean the shape is simple. So I'm going to go with this little dory cutter. And then I have my starfish cutter as well. You know what, let's do another cutter. Let's go get another. I'm going to do a little seashell too. This cutter is great. It's very, very sharp. I have a huge birthday party for him next week. So I'm gonna be working on his cake all next week. My plan is to make a bunch of Nemo characters. And I really so when I was working at a bakery, I did make a lot of characters. I definitely did that a lot. But ever since my YouTube channel, I really haven't made a whole lot of characters because they're very, very time consuming. So I've just been doing the things that I've been passionate about. Not that I don't love all things Disney, because I do. But yeah, I haven't done a whole lot on this channel. So I hope you guys will be ready for that. I will read the comments here. Cookies spreading, yeah. So let's address the cookie spreading thing. Cookie spreading means that your flour ratio is a little off. Your flour to butter ratio, I should say. And it also means that maybe you might need to chill your cookies before you actually put them into the oven. But I know that there's lots of recipes out there that are no spread, so you might want to give one of those a try. So you can see I'm getting down to the end of this little bit. We're just gonna those. I saw a recipe adding cream of tartar. Can you tell me what that does? So the cream of tartar is kind of like, you know, when you make meringue, it makes it nice and stiff. Oh, there's my oven timer. It makes it nice and stiff. That is basically what it would do, make your cookies stiffen up a little bit. And I kind of feel like this original recipe or some recipes that I looked at in past did use cream of tartar, and I just took it out because I found it unnecessary. Needs a little bit more time. I told you guys the first few trays always bake a little bit weirder. Yes, Jay, the time was 12 to 15 minutes-ish, and the temp is 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah. These cookies are sugar cookies. Yeah, the muffin cutter does kind of look like a seashell, doesn't it? Sorry guys, I'm like drinking my iced coffee. I better get to work. Okay, I'm gonna go grab my second ball. So here's my second ball. My recipe always makes 2 big lumps like this. So sometimes I'll half the recipe, but because I'm doing both my son's cookies and my friend's cookies, that is what I'm gonna do. All right. Yep, I'm just squishing that right in there. By the way, guys, my merch is still in process right now. My designer is still coming up with some different things for me. I've had the same logo for like forever, which is my little S logo with that kind of purple circle on it, and then it looks like a bite is taken out of the cookie. But when I made that logo, I only ever did cookies. So I want something that's more encompassing. And you'll notice I'm kind of just really working on the edges, because as you roll, obviously the center part gets thinner and thinner. Really keeping that dough moving around. I'm going to check on those cookies again. Do you have a website with your recipes, or do you just explain them in videos? Yeah, I just explain them in videos. I don't have a website. A lot of people have asked me about this. The reason is because I am not a recipe guru. I wouldn't say that I am. Now, don't worry, by the way, about this little bubbling if that happens to you. It just happens because the butter obviously wasn't super well incorporated there. And that's okay. We're going to cover these and decorate them. You're not even going to see them. But yeah, see how closely I place them together, and we don't have a spreading or anything like that. Okay. Sorry, burning my hand over there. Okay. When is the book coming? Oh, sorry, that's what I was saying. I'm not a huge recipe person. I very much, I love using other people's recipes, and I very much just like the decorating aspect. Though I do enjoy parts of the baking aspect too. But I would definitely say that I like to just kind of stick to a few things and decorate. And one thing is, on my channel, I find that when I do branch out a little bit more and try different recipes, not a lot of people watch them. So if you guys want to see more recipe making stuff, then please let me know. Okay, we're gonna go 13 minutes for this next batch. Okay. Can you guys maybe explain to me what it is about the website that you guys like? Because I know a lot of people have asked me about a website or why I don't have a website. Is it just for the sake of having a list of recipes and that kind of thing? Because I would like to know, because I know that when I read recipes or like other famous baking YouTubers that have websites, it's very much like a blog where they actually blog about something that they think about the recipe, and then they also do a whole thing about their recipe. Okay, let's keep going here. Which I just feel like for myself I would be maybe think that I'm a little bit redundant, but I could be totally wrong. Do some more starfish here. Whenever I get ready for my kids' birthdays, it's kind of like I love it because it's such an opportunity for me to be really creative, and also they're so used to seeing me bake for everybody else, but I very rarely say, yes, you can eat that decorated sugar cookie, so it's very exciting for them too. But I also kind of am like stressed the week before their birthday. And in both my kids' case, they're born throughout the school year, so I am often working full time. Now you're probably thinking, if they're born throughout the school year, then what are you doing now? This is kind of like, I want to say redemption birthday, not really redemption, more like making up for lost time, because obviously my son was turned 1 in 2020, so he didn't really have a birthday party or anything. He's never really had one, so he held off during his real birthday to have any kind of get together because we weren't allowed to do that yet. And now that we are just going for it. All right, and I think that's all I'm going to do for now. Let's see, we've got 2, 5, 7, 10, 13, 14 cookies. There really isn't going to be that many people. Let's see, can I fit one more starfish? Well, I've got 4 starfish. You know what? That's a good number. I'm gonna leave it at that. So what I do with my leftover dough, because I'm not going to be baking any of this stuff, I am going to just kind of lump it all together here. And again, really not trying to work the dough, just working it enough to put it together. So see, I put it back together. Okay, this again is something that I displayed on my channel, but I see how it's not tight. I always hit my dough to make it more sealed. I'm gonna place this in the fridge. I have some more sugar cookie things that people want me to do, so I'm probably gonna freeze this one. And you can freeze this, honestly, sugar cookie dough can freeze for a really, really long time. I'm only gonna freeze this for about a week or so just to be on the safe side. So I'm going to put this in here, my freezer. I need to get a baking freezer. I know I told you guys about my baking fridge, but I honestly need a baking freezer. And I'm going to get to reading those comments in just a second. I'm just going to tidy up here. By the way, guys, I'll show you guys what I got. It might not be that exciting to you, but it's very exciting to me. I have a love-hate relationship with this counter. I love the look of it. A lot of new homes are made with this type of quartz. But oh my goodness, when I drop luster dust on here or anything, it just stays for days and days and days. All right, let's get to looking at some of these questions here. Hi, Brandy, nice to see you. Brandy is like a wealth of knowledge. Okay. Feel like she's always offering me insightful information. Okay, let's see here. Kind of weird. Here, let me face this way. It's always so surreal, like seeing yourself twice. Am I still too high? Okay. Sorry guys, I always leave stuff up on my fridge and I'm like, does that have personal information on it? Okay, here we go. I'm going to get to reading. I definitely want to see more recipes. Is your dough chilled when you roll it out? Yes, I chill it for about 30 to 45 minutes or so. Sorry. I will get this live set up right. One day. And I think I can actually film my lives in not 4K, but in a higher quality through my digital camera, which I have, sorry, my camera, which I should figure out. But right now I'm filming off my phone. I think it's because you can read ahead and make sure you have everything to make the recipe. That makes sense. I prefer a website with recipes and all the inside out information. Again, totally valid. How many days can we store the cookies? So once the cookies are baked, you can freeze them for, again, a really long time. And I know I say these kind of stats, a really long time isn't maybe the best way to say it, but the reason that I say that is because everybody's ingredients and everybody's storage is a little bit different. So I would say up to 3 months, for sure, you can store undecorated sugar cookies, no problem. I just came in. Can someone tell me what the dough is made out of? It's sugar cookie dough. Sorry, can someone post the recipe in here? Because I couldn't write it because I'm actually in traffic. I love that you're listening to this live while you're in traffic. That's awesome. Love your posts. Thanks so much, Helen. Thank you so much, Nazima. Could you tell us of how you became a baker? Thank you so much for all you do. I love your videos and have learned so much. How I became a baker is it's a very easy, simplistic story. I just really always loved cooking channels, and my parents were actually really against the whole baking and cooking and that kind of thing and turning it into a career. So I went and got my university degrees. I appeased them. I also do love my job as a teacher too, so that works out for me. And then I just kind of continued on with baking, and during my university years is when I actually did majority of my selling, I would say. And then I just continued on until I had my second child, and then I was finally like, you know what, I need to slow down, spend some time with my family, and now I just do it for fun. But it's kind of crazy because I feel like sometimes I even do more than I ever did before, but it's not the same type of feeling. It's not that same rushed, really, really stressed feeling. I find the challenges that I face now are more like, are people going to want to watch this? You know, do I have time to film before my child gets up from a nap or something like that? And you know, I think in every situation, you're going to deal with negativity. There is negativity from your customers, right? Sometimes, occasionally. very lucky that that didn't happen very often to me. But then there's also negativity all over the internet. We know this. So they each have their own challenges and merits. I know nobody asked for that, but I feel like it was coming. So, so there you go. Soon I will buy a new kitchen with kitchen worktop material. Oh, which kitchen worktop material do you prefer for baking? Are you talking about like stove-wise? What I prefer? Because stove-wise, I have both the electric flat top and then I also have my gas. And I feel like because I don't do a whole lot on the stove except for, make candy and sugar and caramelize things, I do that on the stove, and my gas is way, way faster. But I find that my glass top is more forgiving in the sense that if I'm doing a bunch of things at once and I forget about something, then my glass top is more forgiving in the sense that if it bubbles over a little bit, it's not a big deal. It wipes clean very, very easily, whereas my gas stove gets really mad at me and then flames are everywhere. So they both have their pros and cons. Hi, the Station Bakery. Guys, check out the Station Bakery if you guys are a home baking business. She still works as a home baker, and her tips are fabulous, and I love her tutorials, and she also taught me how to clean my spear pans, I believe. So yeah, definitely go and check out the Station Bakery. Is it hard making floral edible desserts? I plan to work in a bakery that has a lot of floral desserts. Do you mean floral desserts as in they have like flowers on them? Because if so, that is like super fun. You guys know, I love flowers on cake. Your apron cookies, thank you. I feel like I want you guys to have stuff like this, but the shops that I'm going to be going through, like the YouTube shops that you can have where you can sell your merchandise, I don't know if they have like such cute stuff like this where it's like patterned. This one was actually very pricey at the time. I remember being, I bought this like a long, long time ago and then I had it embroidered. I bought it at this shop that's really, really close to my house. And it's like, we kind of have this like olden day town that's kind of touristy, but it's also based on indigenous land, which is why we have that there. And it is just the cutest little tea shop ever, and you can have high tea there. And this was like, I think this was like $60, which at the time for me was like, whoa, that's my whole life savings. Not really, but seriously, it was very expensive, but I love it. I've had it ever since. Just gonna grab my cookies, guys. And do keep in mind that, right, your cookies continue baking as they're on the sheet. So just, I like to keep them on there and not move them. Time for our Finding Nemo cookies. I find it ironic because there's no Nemo in sight there, but I'll answer a few more questions, guys, and then I do have to get my son up. All right. You're super sweet and talented. Thanks for sharing your recipes. Super helpful. You are so welcome. Best place for cookie cutters? Online, honestly, has some of the greatest deals I've seen. But if you're like me and you need something quick, I always go to my local cake shops. I'm not a huge fan of cookie cutters that come in sets, just because I find that you end up with a lot of cookie cutters that you don't really need. And cookie cutters are great, love that. That's the supply I believe that we get in from that cake and cookie shop. They're excellent. Whatever you do, go for metal. Metal is the way to go. I mean the same as the sheet where you were working with the cookie dough because you said you have a little, oh, okay, sorry. For the cooktop, not the cooktop, for the work surface. So, I mean, this was a stock home, so it just kind of came with this. But quartz is great, but you have to get the right grade of quartz. Granite is wonderful to work on as well, but of course it's a little bit pricier. But I gotta say, if you're doing a lot of cooking, baking, and you want to be able to put stuff on your countertop and it's not going to wreck it, go for a higher quality quartz. That's my opinion. My last house had a much better quality quartz that was less porous, and it was fantastic. You could put anything on it without it wrecking. To make taller cake layers, do you fill the tins up with more batter or use different types of recipes? I always fill my cakes only about 3/4 of the way or even slightly less because I worry about it bubbling over. I rather just fill more cake pans instead so that I avoid it bubbling over and not baking properly and thoroughly. But Fat Daddy-O's is a great, great pan. And I find that even if you overfill just a little bit with those, they still bake up this way. So if you've made a few mistakes, they're pretty forgiving. Hi, Hannah. Hannah is like, she is such an uplifting subscriber. Like, when I've gotten any negative comments or anything, like, she doesn't know necessarily that I've received those, but she just, her words that she puts on to all of my videos, and so many of you guys do, it's just like, oh, it just lifts my spirits after you hear something to be not so good. So shout out to Hannah. What if your dough gets too soft very quickly? What should I do? So if your dough is getting too soft very, very quickly, that probably means that your butter and flour ratio is off. I'm in air conditioning right now, but my oven is really warm, and it's pretty warm in here, and nothing was happening to my dough when I was rolling it out. So I definitely think that if that's happening, you probably need to up that flour ratio. But if you know that your flour ratio is correct and you're working with a recipe that you love, it's just that it's kind of going a little bit loose, go put it in the freezer first and then roll it out. Freezer for about 20 to 30 minutes. Can you make a royal icing video for cookie decorations? Yeah, I have a royal icing video. I have several royal icing videos, but I will be, all the cookies that I baked today, I will be doing full tutorials for them. So I'm going to do a Finding Nemo one, or Finding Dory, I should say, since they're all Dories. And I'm also going to be doing this baby brewing, whatever the catchphrase is for those other cookies too. So where I will share with you what I do with my royal icing. In the beginning, we have very less of profit, but have to keep working, and I'm in that phase. Could you share about your struggling times plus dealing with negativity and believing in yourself? So, yes, we all go through this where you're working, you work to the bone for very, very little monetary payoff. I think this is normal in anything. Whether you're in a professional career, you're always going to start at the bottom of the totem pole until you build that seniority. Or if you're in a business, you're not going to be able to have these huge profit margins right off the bat because you don't know what you're doing. Like, you know your craft, but you don't necessarily know what you're doing from a business standpoint and from just the standpoint of running a bakery. It is really, really hard to make sure that you nail it every time. I mess up still. And this is after a decade of doing stuff like this. So you're going to go through those growing pains. And I think that we have this perception that people that own bakery storefronts or people that have been doing this a long time always have it all together. But just like anything else in life, on social media, things look very beautiful and very perfect. And even something as simple as a cake. There are good and bad angles to a cake. So as bakers, of course, we're going to try and, put the best angle out there of our work. But again, it gives this perception that everything all 360 degrees around is going to be absolutely perfect, and it isn't. And I think that's the same thing with when we see other people's success too. And so I myself just say, I'm going to try my very best all the time. That's all I can do. It's kind of like even in a YouTube perspective, I know that there are some videos that I've put out there that maybe didn't do that well. Oh well, Like, it's really okay, and it's okay to have people critique you, and it's okay that everything isn't perfect. And I think if you keep that mindset of you're doing it for you, you're not doing it for anybody else, but to fulfill your own personal goals, of not numbers goals, not money's goals, but of goals to say, yeah, I did that and I'm doing it, I think you are going to have so much of an easier time. And truly, comparison is the thief of joy. So I just feel like you got to do you, and you will succeed. Hope that wasn't too long-winded. Sorry, guys. Okay. Hi, Ashley. Would you happen to have a video for sugar-free cookies, sugar-free royal icing? I've never done that, but I do know that you can actually sub cup for cup with things like Splenda. However, I've really never tried it. Have you guys tried that? I find that when ordering cakes, they're beautiful, but you get a ton of frosting and a thin layer of cake. It's not my mom's 2-layer cake. Can you speak on that? And this is common. This is super, super common. And it's because when you get a highly decorated cake, that structure needs to be there, and the frosting holds everything in place. And it takes years and years to get the ratio right. I know it seems like an easy fix, but you know, one mistake here, you gotta fix it with the buttercream. One mistake there, you gotta fix it with something else. And so that's why it sometimes happens like that. And it's just, the better I find the higher end the bakery is, the better the ratio gets. But it's just the way that cakes are, because structurally you need that buttercream to hold things in place. But I do know that some bakeries have like nailed it, and you can get that really beautiful decorated cake with the right ratio of filling and frosting. That's a fail-proof way. Yeah, I have this issue. What's a fail-proof way of making sure icing turns out shiny? Shiny. So,
And Mommy, you know who that would be, because it's Auntie Rachel.
oh, Auntie Rachel does what?
Make perfect fillings in the cake.
She sure does. And she has, my friend Rachel, I'm sure you guys have heard about this. I've talked about her before, and I've done videos with her before. She's really like nailed down exactly what it is that her customers are looking for. That's really important too, listening to what your customers say, not taking everything as just negative, oh, I'm going to not listen to my haters. I feel like sometimes, yes, that needs to be filtered out, but sometimes your customers have legitimate things to say, and they might say beautiful decoration but not enough filling, and I really feel like my friend has listened to those constructive critiques and has nailed it, right, Ari?
Yeah, and Auntie Rachel decorated cake too, and Mommy.
Sorry, the shiny frosting. Now, when we're talking about shiny frosting and we're talking about sugar cookies, if you want the shiny frosting, you have to add corn syrup, and it should be a glaze that you're going to be using instead of royal icing. And I used to exclusively use a glaze. And what is a glaze? Well, it's basically, it is icing sugar, and then it's a little bit of, or 1 to 2 tablespoons of milk, depending on how much stuff you have, or water, and then you add a tablespoon of corn syrup. And that's basically a glaze, and that's how it is going to stay shiny. However, I do find it more tricky to work with icing glazes. Sweetheart, somebody from YouTube is saying hi to you. She says hi back. Alright guys, it has been so nice chatting with you. My cookies are nearly done baking, but I've got to go get my son up from a nap. So I hope you are all having a wonderful day, and I hope that you are all baking successfully or just relaxing and listening to me. And for those of you in traffic, I hope you get out soon so you can relax and enjoy your Friday. It is Friday, right? I am so lost ever since I've been on summer vacation from my teaching job. So I will talk to you guys later. So nice chatting with you. Thank you so much for all your love and support. We're almost at 40,000 subscribers. Super excited, and I'm already thinking about what I should do for that video. Bye guys.